Has your dream taken you to the kind of home you want to live in? With your family? Are you worried about the kind of neighborhood to bring your children up? Does the influence of society and environment matter to you and your family? Are you worried about your health, your early morning joggings, sound of the birds? Does accessibility contribute to your daily activities? If yes, Universal Properties has homes, lands on our estates, property management, and construction, just at the right spots for the most reasonable offer. Our land locations are at Sukuta, Jabang, Brikama Jamisa, Kitty Highway, Sanyang, and Gunjur, on both mortgage and cash payment.
Established far back in 2009, and we are into housing, developing, rents, sales. We are here to make housing affordable, accessible for every Gambian.
Universal Properties, property, the solution.
Hello viewers, you're watching the Youth Dialogue and I am your host, Jenna Basonko. It's always good to be back. So today we're taking a different dimension. We are trying to review the year. This is our last episode of 2020. It has been an amazing journey, but it has been a difficult journey as well, due of course to coronavirus. It's been really difficult for us, but alhamdulillah, throughout the coronavirus pandemic, we were able to keep on bringing you this particular show, and you've been able to use it to accompany yourself throughout quarantine and all of that. And one thing that I'm so happy about is the fact that on this particular show, throughout the coronavirus pandemic, we're able to sensitize people out there when it comes to the effects and causes of coronavirus. For almost 2 months, we've been embarking on sensitization programs to make sure that you all understand the disease. So at least we've been able to also play our part in relation to that. Like I said before, it's been so difficult, but it's the safe space for young people in the country. We try by all means to every week bring you an episode. So if you could remember, there's this time a few weeks back, I went to Kafuta and did an outdoor program with Aliu. That name should ring a bell because most of you called me a lot, text me, telling me about how happy you were with that particular show. So I felt like as long as I've had a lot of positive feedback in relation to that show, why not bring Aliu into the studio and wrap the whole year with him? So that is why he's here with me today. So today we'll be doing a Youth Dialogue Year in Review, whereby we will look back at some of our favorite episodes. I mean, we might miss some episodes that are really, really good, but at some point we just had to do a random selection of different topics, ranging from politics to women issues, and the list goes on. So at least we will try by all means to do justice by touching different areas. So today, to help me achieve the Youth Dialogue Year in Review is Aliu here. I don't need to introduce him because I mean, that particular program, all of you were calling and all of you were so happy about the production. Thank you so much to the team once again, and welcome to the show, Aliu.
Thank you very much, Jenna, for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
I know you received a lot of calls too.
Yeah, I received a lot of calls, people that I haven't heard from in a long time, that I didn't even know were having my numbers. Like we're calling, reaching out on Facebook, congratulating us on the farm project. And of course, like the content of the show was really rich. So we're humble and honored to be back here.
But Aliu, I think you look so nice. It's like we're going on a prom date today. Look at us. Oh my God. This is the perfect way to close the year. It's the perfect way to wrap up Youth Dialogue on QTV till next year, inshallah. So like I said, today we're going to be reviewing some of the topics or programs that we've had throughout the 2020. So the first thing we'll be discussing is the fact that the Minister of Youth and Sport, Bakari Baji, was appointed. And when he was appointed, we saw a lot of young people go to social media and say, Alhamdulillah, we are happy about this particular employment. So let's take a look at his video, just a little bit of it. And when we come back, you will tell me what is your take on the issue of having Bakari Baji as our Minister of Youth and Sport. So let's take a look at that. We know that young people in the Gambia constitute over 60% of the population. And most of the time they use as political instruments for leaders in power, and their participation is way less. the Gambia is a perfect example. So what plans do you have for young people in relation to their effective participation in politics and a lot more?
Well, to begin with, I see my appointment as one of those that is supposed to serve as an entry point for other young people also to participate in politics. Now, my coming into politics in 2017 was exactly based on that same idea. And I said it earlier that when I was coming to run for mayor, it was a group of people that came together, and they had the idea to support some few candidates for the parliamentary elections and also support candidates for the local government elections. And what you said is the belief that young people would be clapping, would be cheering of leaders and doing all this stuff. Once they are elected, the young people are not part of the governance system, and young people wanted to come in and also put up their own candidates and support. And that's how I came. That's when so many other people came who won and some didn't win. Eventually, we didn't win, like I didn't win, but coming in as a minister, that's one thing I want, that young people should be able to go out there and seek for positions. We have quite a number of them, definitely, in the parliament, but those are elective positions. Now, how can we ensure that we also do good so that whosoever has the power will have the trust to be able to also entrust us with, give us the position through an appointment, like in my own case.
Yeah, so that was Minister Bakari Baje. Congratulations to him once again. So what do you make of his appointment?
Yeah, it was great. Like when I saw it on social media making rounds, like Bakari is a great guy. Like I've known him for some time. You know, the work that he's been doing in the community, you know, is really amazing. So seeing like the president having that foresight of bringing a young person to run the Ministry of Youth, because most of the time we've been complaining about these things. Like we've been having older people, people that do not understand the priorities of young people leading those offices. So it's refreshing seeing Bakari like coming to serve as the youth minister. I hope the executives can let him do his work, because most of the time that is what happens. Most of these political appointments, you sometimes it gets so tense that conflict of interest that you cannot even serve the purpose of that particular ministry. So I hope the executive would let him do his work, support him, like to implement programs and policies that would be of benefits to young people across the country.
Yeah, I think that is really important. And he talked about the fact that it is left to young people for them to be motivated. Because I say this sometimes, when young people are given certain positions, they have to make sure they try by all means to also do good. Because if not, you know. So I guess at some point when we be leaders as young people, we have to push.
Yeah, most of the time, like it's a learning process. Yeah. Like you put certain people in positions and then they wouldn't do the way you expect. That doesn't mean that you should alienate the rest. Always give them the chance. Like what Bakari was saying, you know, we have some young people in parliament. I think that's one thing that young people should also focus on, like running for offices, like from their various communities. Because like as a young person, you have the drive, the energy, the time to push for most of these things. Like you're talking about 60% of the population of our country are young people, if I'm right with the statistics. So like young people need to be represented in most of these things. Like that's how we're pushing for most of this gender stuffs to be part of our policies. It's important. So it's equally important to engage young people. We've seen the not too young
to lead campaign.
So we need to encourage young people to be involved in politics. We shouldn't just be followers clapping and running after politicians at the end of the day. We have to be at the table for decision making. We've seen how the young people in parliament, like the likes of Omar Sis, are doing amazing stuff. In the National Assembly.
So I think what you're trying to put across is quite important as young people, but there's something also that I want to make clear. You know, leadership is not only about the fact that you are the president or you're a parliamentarian. You can be a leader in your own community. You know, like Aliu here, you are a leader in your own community, running a farm at Kafuta and running a community library. You know, these forms of leadership from young people, we also need them. So let's not get the definition of leadership wrong. Leadership comes in different forms. So as young people, we even need to start from the grassroots to be able to reach these places. So during my introduction, I talked about the fact that COVID-19 has really disturbed youth dialogue, has disturbed a lot of activities. But as a program, we try by all means to push. Every week we bring in episodes. And we try by all means as well to do a coronavirus series where we use the opportunity to sensitize the public in relation to the coronavirus pandemic. So now we will take a look at this video in relation to the coronavirus. And when we come back, Ali, you get to talk to us about how the coronavirus affected you. Dr. Jeng, jërëjëf si li nga ñëw si programme bi kontaan nañ trop parce que yow moom saa yu la ooyee nga ñëw.
Jeena jërëjëf si li ma dalal fii.
waaw
comme ni nga ko doon waxee rek comme ni nga commencé. programme yu njëkkoon a am si English la te ni nga ko waxee rek feebar bi dafa doon nekk loo xam ne ñëpp la laal. te man sax at some point nit ñaa maa laaj xanaa sa vidéo bi moom amul olof. so foog naa it's high time comme ni nga ko waxee si olof. it will be very good.
It will be very good. pour nga fàttale ñu rek lan mooy coronavirus ak coronavirus nit ko am naka la ko mën a xamee.
waaw comme ni nga ko waxee si programme yi passé comme ñu bantuwaat si waaw comme coronavirus dafa nekk feebar boo xam ne si weer yi passé lañ ko diagnose lañ ko detect lañ ko xam daal si gàttal moo tax ñu oyoo ko COVID-19 comme feebar bi si 2019 bi si jeexeekaay bi boori décembre si la China xam lan mooy coronavirus ndax balaa loolu am na feebar yi demee woon noonu waaye mu xaw a am nduru waaye comme naa gis ne biñ faj ñu xam ne lii ak feebar yi ñoo gis dafa xaw a utee so si leen defaat ay test ñu wane ne lii feebar bu ees la ñu turee ko COVID-19 waaw si décembre bi so bi mu ñëwee ba léegi nag mu ngi war a jël ay ñetti weer waaw duga si ñeneenteeli weer bi bi mu njëkk a commencé China rek la woon léegi mu commencé di law ba léegi àdduna bi yëpp almost waaw ñi ko am dëkk yu ko am mu ëpp yi ko amul waaw te nekk na loo xam ne ñëpp la laal àdduna bi yëpp ñi am ñi ñàkk ñi mag ndaw xale ñëpp la laal waaw so feebar bi coronavirus comme ni ñu ko waxee feebar boo xam ne la comme mandarga yi ni mu mel comme mandarga yi soj la dee woon si nu commencé doorin commencé kay bi comme mandarga yi soj la dee woon comme ni demee nii da nga saxaat da nga nekk di am ngay fata sooy nooyi ba pare nga nekk di tisóoli sa yaram bi di tànga waaw bi yaram bi tànga bi sax moo gën a nekk li nga xam ne moom lañ denc kaa gis moom lañ denc kaa bàyyi xel waaw
coronavirus pandemic you know I can remember I had to do 3 months of discussions on COVID-19 trying by all means to make sure that the information reaches every individual so what do you think about the coronavirus as we speak because léegi gis nañ ne nit yi solatuñ masque you know social distancing, it seems people are tired.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because when most of these things, when it happened, we had like the Ebola. It didn't take long like this one, and it was. I'm not every part of the world were affected, but you know, the COVID came like it was just super viral.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, I don't know, like everywhere because you know, like now we live in a global village. Need China in the evening, you're in the US or somewhere else, and then you get explain the transmission mode and things like that. So it was like super fast. All of a sudden, disrupt. And then it came up with things that you know so we have to maintain.
So how did it affect you? You're not gonna affect it?
Yeah, man. Personally, like I travel a lot to do work and stuff, and that's one of the things that COVID said no, you cannot do that. So I was in the Gambia, so after I just did my calculations, like if I have to go back to France, then the numbers are very high, or other parts of the world that I used to go to, and then I just choose to stay here. I've had the good thing about this. I always had this passion for agriculture, the Madam Def seasonal. So this year it permitted me to stay home, connect with the family, and then also be able to do most of the things that I love doing. It seems
COVID-19 has its pros and cons. It has its pros and cons. Everything has its pros and cons anyway. But then that doesn't mean we want COVID to stay.
No.
You know, we have to move on as a country. So thank you so much to Dr. Jeng. Shout out to you. He's been a permanent host here all the time talking about coronavirus. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for always being willing to come to Youth Dialogue in relation to health issues. So thank you so much. So moving on, we're going to talk about persons with disabilities, you know, persons with special needs. Here on Youth Dialogue, we make sure to be inclusive. You know, we are so inclusive. You know, we have discussions with Binta, we have discussions with Lamin Sonko. I can remember in this particular video, Lamin Sonko is our Youth of the Month. He's a sign language interpreter. I know you know him. He's doing extremely well, you know, with what he's doing, taking his time to volunteer to do sign language when it comes to newspapers and all that. So let's take a look at this. Then when we come back, you could talk about how you see the lives of persons with special needs in the country.
Sonko was born in 1988 in a village in Nyumi called Berending. He attended Serekunda Primary School, then to Perending Junior School, and then proceeded to Esau Senior Secondary School and sat for his WASCE exam in 2009. He pursued an ICT course at the Banjul Institute of Professional Studies, BIPS. Due to his passion for working with deaf people, he then pursued a sign language interpretation course at the Gambia Association for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, GADHOH, in collaboration with VSO in 2011. Upon completion of the sign language interpreter course, he was automatically employed by the Deaf Association as a sign language interpreter from 2013 up to the present time. He was employed by the Constitutional Review Commission as a sign language interpreter on the 15th of October 2018, a position he holds up to this moment.
Yeah, so that was the biography of Lamin Sonko. He's a sign language interpreter, and he was a Youth of the Month one time right here on Youth Dialogue. So really, how do you see the lives of individuals with special needs in the country, and what do you think can be done?
Yeah, difficult. Like, at least now we're seeing the conversation is going on, and the people are having discussion with regards to differently able people in our society. Because initially, like before, we don't cater for most of the people with different able people. So it's difficult for them, like even with news, if you cannot hear, you will not hear what is being said and stuff. And I think it all draw back to society, how we perceive disabled. But with sensitization and then communications, I think this would change, and then also our authorities to look into most of these things, like include them in our laws, policies.
Exactly.
Like I saw a particular country at one time, we had like this driving school. So at some point, the toilet facilities that they were using, they were asked to close it down or improve it for differently able to use it.
Yeah.
Gambia here, you look around, how many buildings are having those access to for differently able people? And then even the mainstream media and stuff, people that cannot hear would not like know what is being said. So this is a part of our society that has unfortunately been left out of many things. And this is very intelligent people that when they participate in the nation building process, like activities of the country, they have a lot to offer. These are really smart people. Some people got some of these things through accidents. And, you know.
Aliu Jaita is a perfect example.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like these are people that are smart, that when they take part in national development, there is a lot that they can contribute equally like any other person. And this is what we need as a country. This is what can take our country forward, to include everyone in the development process of the country, regardless of your background, your physical disability, or any other thing that is hindering your progress as a human being.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Aliu Jaita is a perfect example. He's doing extremely well down there with his organization, helping people with disability, as in people who can't see in relation to using computer. Aliu would send me emails that are so clear. When I check the emails, there are no grammatical errors in that particular email. That is how smart Aliu is. So like you mentioned, I totally agree with you. They are extremely smart. They just need some form of inclusion and thumbs up to Lamin Sonko, because he is voluntarily doing this. You know, he's always on social media interpreting newspapers, interpreting the news. So keep it up. We did not have that particular one wrong. It was a good idea to have you as a Youth of the Month, and it inspired a lot of young people out there. So moving on, you know, like I mentioned today, we'll be looking at different issues. Once it's a year in review, looking back at 2020, what have we achieved? But Aliu, before you leave here, mind you, you'll be giving us recommendations as well in relation to how to improve. And the public is also free to always reach out to us in relation to what they would want to see come 2021. So now, we are moving on to music. And I know you have a little bit of music idea. I'm not that a lot of music. So, wow, understand now. So we are going to go and take a look at an episode where we invited a person in the music scene. When we come back, then you elaborate. Give us recommendations. I mean, let's take a look at that. Jay, man rek si jongoma barhama jam. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
Man rek si jongoma. Fitna category bi de. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Appreciate nañ sa ñëw fi torop, very short notice, and then here you are.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that I'm having Barhama Cham on the show.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for what you do.
Thanks so
you
much.
know, I see you advocating for a lot of things that affect women, you know, and using music, trying to incorporate this with music, activism. It's amazing.
Thanks
so, you know, just to lay the foundation,
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand how this started, how the motivation came to you to actually be a singer. Time board and them school la. Well, you know, how did it happen?
Okay.
Well, dafa am kula motivate. How did this just come to you?
First of all, before saying anything, I'm saying greetings to each and everyone watching me right now. And then I really appreciate the interview. You understand that I'm a fan of this show. I've been watching this show all the time. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. Okay, put them to the motivation side. Since when I was young, my mama realized that I was having this connection with arts in general, not just music. I was into so many things, acting and things like that. But the musical talent was something discovered by a friend of mine. He was really close to me, and he has been really observant, because most of the time, whenever we working together, every time I'm singing songs. You understand? And then he was like, "Boy, do you know that you have a very nice voice? Why not you try to sing?" I was like, stop mocking at me, you know. But later on, when I get back home and have this one-on-one, I will evaluate the words that he was saying to me. Then at the end of the day, I realized that there is something in me.
Yeah, so that is Barhama Cham there. He's doing extremely well. Do you know him?
Very well. We were even together yesterday. At Apkas.
Okay, amazing.
Christmas
He's doing well with what he does.
Yeah, great guy, amazing singer. Yeah. He's a good brother.
Yeah, and the fact that he's able to bring in activism to singing, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Barhama is doing really, 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 really well. Just yesterday, I was just telling him to keep it up.
To push.
I love this song, Jongoma.
Yeah. I'm not Jongoma today, but it doesn't mean I'm not still fitting that particular category. I'm just making it clear. Anyway, I'm the artist bohamne, donc they manage partially also, or donc they support. So, mun nga ñoo wax yow music industry bi or scene bi, naka nga ko gisee ak naka la muna improve?
Gambian music industry, I'm from Joge, from New and kudos to the people in Ningam. They've been very active in the scene. They're still active, the likes of the open mic festival organizers. Like, great thumb up to them for the work that they're doing, like in bringing the music industry to where they want it to be. Already, it's amazing. Like in Musutona Halat, like Gambian music, feel out on neka. Like exactly. Before anything like you want to do with music, you have to call on Senegalese stars, Nigerians and stuff. But right now, them ST they going to the stadium back to back. Diko Faisal and Gambians are embracing Gambian music because of the quality that these people are giving, the consistency in the work that they're doing. And it's amazing. And then also like coming out, like giving back to their communities. Most of these artists are having foundations. Like ST is having a foundation that is doing amazing stuff in his own community. Just
even Attack during the coronavirus decided to do.
Attack, Jesus,
decided to do.
The Nobles just recently they flowed a thing at where they come from the neighborhood in Nemokungu. They donated massively. This is good because musicians are they're brand and they're very influential. Yesterday, ST was raising funds for the Gambia Community Library project, so we can work on more community libraries in the country. So you see the power of music, just different from the messages that they're sending. They also have this economic capital that they can use to raise funds from communities to give back to those communities, and then, you know, because it helps in one way or the other. You perform at a school, you build a toilet there. This is like how many kids are benefiting?
It's just like how companies are supposed to give social corporate responsibility, and artists are doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So
and
I
Gambian
think
artists are really doing amazing with that. And then hopefully with the support that they need, it can be the next thing. Like in Senegal, Youssou is one of the most famous sons.
Why Youssou then go support, then go push?
Exactly, is one of the most
if we do
famous sons of Senegal. Like the biggest brand in Senegal is Youssou. So like Gambia can also reach at that land, but we have to support our people. And the government just need to stop the lip service and support the artists because they have a lot to offer when it comes to employment. Week in, week out, they're doing shows, employing young people, keeping people together to do amazing stuff, to be entertained than just doing other stuff.
Amazing. So due to time constraints, I guess we have to be doing this real quick. I just wish we had 5 hours to do this because that is exactly what we need. So up next, we are going to be talking about issues affecting women. You know, we're talking about period poverty, You know, I think this is something that I stress all the time on this particular show. Seeing your period is not a problem, but it can be a problem in our society. So how can we change that? Aliu, as a man, would help me answer this. What is he doing for his sisters if he has? Or what message does he have for the fathers out there in relation to supporting their children when they're seeing their period, or when they're about to, or when they're in that particular period of time that they're about to see it? How can they be helped to be educated, to be able to know what they're supposed to do? So let's take a look at this one. When we come back, we'll get to have that discussion.
I was motivated to start Girls Pride because of the period poverty affecting girls' education in the Gambia. Most girls stay out of school during their period, and if a girl menstruates for 5 days, and if she has to stay back home, it means she's missing a lot in school. And most of the time, these girls have to drop out of school, which means they cannot achieve their potential or their dream. So I was motivated to start this. In 2017, when I attended the Mandela Washington Fellowship, so during a networking event, I had a conversation with a lady called Sarah. So Sarah was implementing a project where she gets reusable sanitary products from Uganda, and she would take it to Kenya for her project so that she can keep girls in school. So I thought this was a great initiative that I can replicate in the Gambia.
I hope she's watching.
That is how it all started. When I came back, I did so much research and then do my pilot and then prototyping until Girls Pride started.
Okay. So that is Girls Pride, Fatimata Kasama. You know, she makes reusable pads, and she's sponsoring girls up country because the period poverty in the Gambia, manjahal nama. So how do you think this problem can be solved?
Yeah, this is like a serious issue in the Gambia, but any community that you go, that they have this kind of problem. I'm currently working with Aissatou Bohu with her project. She came to the community library. The girls that attend there, I think about more than 200 girls benefited from combos, and then we went to the phones. Then after I was having this conversation with most of the girls, they were really excited to have those packages that they could use, because these are things that they cannot afford. Like as a man, you wouldn't know most of these things, or maybe even take it for granted when you hear like a girl is seeing her menstruation and stuff. Like, it's difficult. They'll be missing school. Imagine during an examination period, like you have this kind of issues, and we have this period shaming that is happening in communities that like stigmatizing them and things like that. This need to change, and then our authorities need to be involved, and then stakeholders, the civil society organization, and religious leaders, everyone need to be involved in this, in sensitizing our communities. And then like parents, families need to help their girls to have most of these things. It should be free, like on that thing. You talk about most of these things, like a month, $50 here, or even beyond, like for a girl who is not employed. How would the person be able to...
Gambia bi party share la la wax mun nañu dem ba 200.
Exactly.
$200 ci jamono buñ tollu ni.
Exactly.
You know, like, I mean the good ones.
Exactly. Like
you know,
like, or even like 13 years, 14, girls start seeing this. Like, it's very difficult.
And girls do not even want to go to school because sometimes they could stain themselves. I can remember, you know, when we were going to school, you know, when somebody stains themselves, we start laughing. Because we didn't know the education wasn't there. How many go on? You know, so I guess this as well, children need to be educated at home in relation to what this is about.
And even from at an early stage in the school, we need to incorporate most of these things in the school systems, and then youth organization, voluntary group also need to be involved in most of these things, because no one person can do this, and it's like a collective responsibility of everyone, because we're all part of this society. And then no one should be left out because of natural stuff. And you know, I've seen other places where they even isolate them. And then, you know, people go through a lot of transformation.
Or you're not supposed to cook, you're not supposed to do this. It comes with a lot of things. So women just sit back, you know, and it's so painful. This is something that comes naturally. You didn't do anything bad to actually see your period. This is something that, like, you're supposed to be proud of, but you cannot because of how society sees you. You know, sometimes we see, I think it was I had a transit in this particular country, and I saw how they were giving, like, free condoms. So to me, I'm like, you're giving out free condoms, give out free sanitary pads. You know, because at least this is a natural phenomena, but that is something that you are going to use your head to do. You know, so I guess sanitary pads have to be, if not free, but at least a bit cheaper. You know, affordable to make all these people afford this. And be comfortable, because it's such a natural process.
And accessible too, like when you go to rural areas, they cannot even get most of these things, where you cannot even go to the shops to buy this, because the stigma, and sometimes the availability is not even there. So they struggle with this. And
or they wouldn't even have the good ones.
Good ones. Sometimes it's not even there. So the health ministry and all the responsible stakeholders need to look into these things, and then, you know, start also with the homes, the families. They need to support the girls during these processes.
So now we're still on issues affecting women, but then we had Jama Jack. I don't know if you know Jama.
Yeah, I know Jama.
Jama was one time our Youth of the Month, you know, and she's such an inspiration to me, Ali. And it's such an inspiration to a lot of young girls out there. I can remember when this particular program aired, I had a long text message from a girl talking about how my program with Jama made her get a job that a lot of people didn't want her to get because of the fact that it's a male-dominated field. So, you know, this is an impact that she was able to register. And a lot of other impacts that do not even reach to me, you know. So this was a very, very good program. Thank you so much, Jama, for what you do. We really appreciate it. So let's take a look at this video. When we come back, then you can tell us how you met her and if you've worked with her before. Like to have you here has to do with like the COVID-19 and the fact that you were ahead of a whole MRC communications unit, and it's so big to everybody, and you're so young and you're handling it. How is the experience going so far?
It's a challenging one, but I must say I'm very grateful, you know, to be in that space at this time. So the MRC is an institution that's based in the Gambia. They've been here for more than 70 years. And to have a young Gambian woman like me, I'm only 30. When I came in, I was 28 to head that department. And everybody on my team is older than me, right? So it's a bit of a challenge for me to really bring my ideas, because different people have different leadership styles. We have different ideas. You want to do so many things, you know. So sometimes it's a challenge for me to even get people to listen, you know, but I feel like it's also been really rewarding, you know, looking at my journey. I graduated 2014. It's been only 6 years and I've been able to move up the ranks to now become head of communications at MRC. So for me, like, being in that space is just a lot more motivation for me, but it's also showing people out there that we can do it. You know, we can be Gambian, we can study here or outside and come back and give to our country in so many different ways. So I am at MRC, we're providing support to the COVID-19 response in the country, and a very critical part of that is the information that is being shared with people. And so to be in that space where I am the one making the decisions, I'm the one doing, you know, a lot of the messaging, for me that's important as my contribution to the work.
Yeah, so that was a conversation with Jama Jack. She was our Youth of the Month, and she was talking about how she's able to lead a whole communications team at MRC as a young Gambian woman. Amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so how did you meet her? You've ever worked with her before?
Jama, when she was in Morocco, when she was doing her undergrad, it was, you know, through online. I think then we had Balafon.
Yeah.
It was through that, you know, we became friends.
Okay.
Yeah, she's an amazing person, doing an amazing job, and like a different environment, and then people accepting some of the things, like linked to cultural norms.
Exactly.
Debunking them, and then, you know, having a different perspective, like more like a progressive stuff. It's very difficult. But, you know, I'm proud of the work that she's doing with all these other women-led organizations. Think Young Men, Girls, Agenda, Safe Hands. Like this, they're doing amazing stuff in our community. Like, as a woman who understands women issues, talking to the community to understand some of these things, because they're more of like cultural acceptances, and then, you know, but with sensitization like this, people leading voices like this is going to change a whole lot of things. Now I'm proud when you look around, like you see women filling up certain positions and stuff. That's the way it should be. Every member of the society is important. We all have a role to play. Like, no other person is better than the other person.
Sure.
Even though we have this stereotypes about a whole lot of stuff that people would relate to religion and stuff like that. When sometimes they're just traditional beliefs, and, you know, they're living in a different world. We need to be progressive with our thinking. Give everyone your fair share of what you deserve and can contribute to your community. So, like, we encourage more voices like that to be engaging our communities, our authorities, and everyone concerned. Like, maybe with time it's going to change. We've seen a whole lot of things that people started before. People didn't accept it at that time.
And
but,
now
you know,
it's gradually changing.
It's changing. Before you never hear of any woman president. But now the narrative is changing. Now we have women serving in the National Assembly. Then it will just be one. Still, there is a whole lot of work need to be done. Just sometimes when you look at certain panel talking about women, it will be all men, and the people will frown on it.
Or validating a document or validating something, and you're not even going to say a woman in there.
Exactly.
Even if it's not a document on women issue, but anything that you're doing, women are human beings too. They're supposed to be there.
Exactly.
You know, and the fact that we are mothers, you know, we take care of the homes. We do almost everything. Exactly. So we need to be everywhere in terms of decision-making processes and giving us the things that we deserve. And thank you so much then for standing up for us. Are you a he for she?
Like everything. Like I work with women.
Are you a he for she?
Obviously.
You are? Why are you a he for she?
No, I work with a lot of women-led organizations that I'm a key member that I support. Like Girls Agenda was one that I worked with during the early days, and I'm still proud of the work that they do. Like the Gambia Community Library, working with girls, like most of the girls that come, people that come to the library are girls. Like these are people from a society like my brother's kids, my neighbors and stuff. It's an entire stuff, and then you know, like I said, it's a process. We're building up on this and then trying to change the mindset of people on a whole lot of stuff. But it's like a process, and hopefully we will get there. Now, like before, people are not even proud to have like girls. Like when you have a baby, jigéen, like people will start frowning. But they gis na jigéen yi luñ jëriñ seen parents because they're saying they're more sympathetic and a whole lot of stuff that we see in our communities. And you know, it's changing. Like, and I hope with time, people will embrace this and we will know this is the reality, because we have certain cultural stuff because it's your culture. Sometimes does it make it right? Exactly. So, but you know, engaging them, understanding most of these issues, dina change the body society, and hopefully we can build a better Gambia and a better world for everyone. Jigen Góor.
Yep, I totally agree. You know, I think it wasn't a mistake to have you here. Quite insightful analysis so far. So now, let's move on to young people on drugs. You know, like I said, youth dialogue, doing this year in review makes me happy because it showed me how diverse I've been able to go during this 2020. And there's even more that we cannot show, but there's even more. But just to tell all of you that we've tried by all means to diversify our conversations. We touch everywhere. You know, wherever young people are, we go there. I can remember when I was starting the show, somebody said, fan nga amé content pour definitely every week. Content before mo joggé, maneko content is going to come from young people because young people, you know, do everything. They're everywhere. I'm never going to lack content. Even if this show has to exist for 100 years, there is always something amazing that a young person is doing in their own little corner. So that's the content. So now let's take a look at this one. And when we come back, we'll get to have a conversation on young people and drugs and how government or communities can contribute to actually curbing this particular problem. Like I said before, you're here to share your story with us in relation to being a young person and being a drug addict at some point, and now you are a recovering addict. So talk to us about what really pushed you to get into drugs before we go into the conversation deeper.
Yeah, the question is is heavy on me, but I will try to just to buttress just a short story. I can say the environment that I was living, because I was staying in I will not just want to mention the environment, like the place, but it's an environment whereby people can engage into drug easily because of peer influence. I did not start using it at home, but I started using it when I joined my friends. That's peer influence. And also in school environments. We all know that most of these people who started using drugs, they started in the streets or at school. So we started it by using what they call by then Bantiyumba. You know, it was a local stick that nobody knowledge started smoking. That they normally, you know, it's a stick, but it's having a pipe hole.
Okay.
So we started smoking with that, like Bantiyumba. So you know, smoking, it's a process. It goes from one stage to another. So from Bantiyumba, that's the time that I feel like, yeah, now I have to start off smoking cigarette.
Do you know Bantiyumba?
Have
you ever tried Bantiyumba or cake? I can remember paper. You know, kids used to use like 4 papers and use them. You know? So he talked about the fact that he didn't start this at home. He started it in school, and it's a community.
Neighborhood, yeah.
You know, so you're growing up as a male child. How were you able to like deal with this or run away from it? Because I know it's very tempting. Peer influence.
Yeah, like it's sad. This is like it's destroying one of the most important fabrics of our society. That is the young people. Like personally, I know a lot of young people that like went astray through using these hard substances and stuff. Sometimes the people will relate it to, okay, then ko liggéey dañ ko def li fekk it was like drug bi moko ko def and stuff. They don't know most of these things. Like if they start as a carry, like it has it's a very complex issue because sometimes a carry when the parents smoke, danga yoni hale dem jëndi cigarette.
Exactly.
Then su yagge rek dafa door di parce que mu ngi gis yaa ngi tuf ci kanamam man every day everything. So at some point dina ko try because hale lu mu gis rek from someone that ku nekk di inspire, even you don't even know yaa ngi inspire. It starts there most of the time. Si kër yi wala maybe like an older brother si neighborhood bi ku yoni hale. Then nanka rek at some point like
hale dañ dey experiment.
Yeah, I've seen that like when we were going to school we all tried this thing like them ñu yoni la yaa ngi am change like go and buy this Hollywood cigarette for 25 but start smoking. But my parents were very strict with Jeffy cigarette or anything what has to do with smoking like it's a no-no at home. So I grew up doing like seeing all these things and then I just cannot do it and then you know growing up later my ham side effects and stuff and then that makes me a known smoker and then like let's say alcohol too. A lot of people are into alcohol today and sometimes when you look at it it's very hypocritical of the society, let's say the authorities and stuff. Need mun na dem jëndi sangara but you cannot go and buy. These are all things, substance in society. Young people now they're becoming alcoholic and stuff, doing all this kind of stuff. So it's everyone's responsibility in society. But sometimes some parents would still tell their kids like, no, it's like you cannot do certain things. But later, the people that they're dealing with outside, you call door, so again you know to at some point it becomes full blown or effecty door di and then you know. Like when I talk about these things, I mean the society, the authorities, everyone concerned need to be serious about whatever thing that we're doing. But this is what you're fighting for, this is what you believe. You need to be serious about it. Society, just don't do lip service about it. Just
get up and do action. Action speak louder
than words.
Yeah. So shout out to ST for Cigaretto. Cigaretto, huh? Thank you so much for coming up with that. I think that particular song is really educative. So this is what we need from our artists. You know, them learning cigaretto and understand how it really affects people's lungs and all that. So I think that was a good one from him. Yeah. So now finally, we take a look at Kafuta, our journey at Kafuta, and then we get to close everything up. We say bye-bye 2020, and we're heading to 2021 with improved programs, with improved setting, and all of that. So now let's take a look at this one, and when we come back, then we'll get to just wrap it up. Hey, Aliu, nice to meet you finally.
Jay, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Welcome.
Thank
how
you
are
so much. Fine, thank you.
Welcome.
So I could see that you guys get to suffer under this hot sun.
Kind of.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of shade here.
Because this is why we have those small tents.
Okay, those small tents. Okay.
Yes.
So does this mean that for the watermelons to be okay, they need a lot of sunlight?
More like I think all crops need sunlight to grow, but watermelon doesn't require enough, like more rain to grow. Yeah.
Okay. So this is its right time.
Yeah, because now it's getting so foggy, so it's good. That's what it needs.
That's what it needs. Yeah. Okay, amazing. So basically, you know, congratulations. You are Youth of the Month for this month.
Thank you.
So I think it's so important to have somebody like you, because most of the time, farming is not something that a lot of young people like to venture into.
Exactly.
So to me, I think it's really good that you're doing this. And I'm sure we're going to have an amazing discussion in relation to what you do.
Welcome. We all said, man.
Yeah.
Waiting for that.
Okay. So basically, I guess you're going to also take us through your childhood and the motivation that you got to actually start this. Because like I mentioned, this is not something that a lot of young people do. So where did the motivation come from?
Growing up in the rural areas, like you don't have a choice because every family like is into subsistence farming, like growing like what you eat. That is where I started. My mom then operating vegetable gardens. My dad too will do this annual farming activity. So growing up, we will be going to the farms like every morning during the summer.
So that was Aliu there in Kafuta. So thank you so much. Ana melon be yo indi lo melon.
No, Jana season.
Nga joge Kafuta be fi.
No,
So da ngeen harvest everything.
Na harvest na wholesale like jaay ko yep.
Okay, compost bangi dis. Compost bangi dis. Harvest na be pare.
You invest.
Yena ngi invest. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, watermelon bi dafa jeex. Yen tamit. So yen ni ñoo def programme bi yeb yena ngi am interest watermelon bi. Anyway, so thank you so much Aliu for coming. I really appreciate this, and that was our program right there in Kafuta. The feedback from the public was excellent. You know, like I said, we'll be doing more of outdoor programs. So now, due to time constraints, I will just allow you to wrap up, you know, and give all these young people out there your final words. By 2020 on Youth Dialogue, so just give us your final words.
I'm not 2021, then you are going to be because we cannot just. I know, like, it was great. Like, I really appreciate the time that you took to come to Kafuta.
Yeah.
Like, showcase what we're doing. Because there's a lot of content we were talking about in the Gambia. It's just a matter of, like, one interesting and stuff. I know sometimes Gambia things are so polarized now. Everybody will just want to talk about politics. It's important. There are good stuff out there that we can showcase, and I'm glad you came, gave us that platform to showcase what we're doing. Like, I got a lot of feedback too, like from people, the diaspora friends here, like, who wouldn't imagine I was gonna be in farming because I'm not deaf, but at a low scale, and stuff. But you know, the fact that I got that platform to showcase. Now we're thinking big. A lot of people are contacting us, like in getting land, in invest, like doing plan for the next season, because agriculture, it's like should be the backbone of like every economy, because every day we eat like breakfast, lunch, this is food, and then come to over here one like in Gambia we literally import everything, you know, outside. COVID being on that reality. We have to be serious about these investments. Like when we talk about agriculture, health, these are things that we have to be serious about. So I'm into agriculture full time right now, so I'm doing vegetable production.
Amazing.
Next season, we want to scale it more, like do watermelon and a whole lot of stuff. You know, why not export someday? Have enough to eat.
We'll get there.
And then try to
so due to time constraints, final words to young people.
Young people come to over here like the last time. There's no shortcut to success. You have to work hard and then be disciplined with whatever you're doing. Discipline, like it includes everything. Jamu yala, ligay, even your interaction. Discipline is everything, and then work hard. Believe in what you're doing. You know, people will discourage you. Why also go if you have this dream, work hard to achieve it.
So 2021, lan nga buga gis ci Youth Dialogue?
2021, like more content. Like I want to give platform to a lot of young people across the country, especially rural areas. People doing amazing stuff that can inspire people in their communities. This like it's linked. They don't want to discourage a lot of negative vices in the country that people are doing. If you
time is up, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Aliu, for coming. I really appreciate this. So viewers, we tried by all means to look back at 2020. You know, we weren't able to achieve everything because there are a lot of amazing episodes we had, but we just wanted to diversify and pick different ones, ranging from drugs to politics, having Mr. Bakari Baji as the minister and all of other things. So now we are moving on to 2021, you know, and we have Universal Properties, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for sponsoring the safe space for young people in the country. But we need more sponsors. We want to expand. We want to do a lot of things come 2021. And to be able to do that, we need money. Money is the only thing that can make us do this. And you out there watching out there and have the money, come and join the safe space for young people. Come and sponsor the safe space for young people so that we'll be able to expand and do a lot of things. So the marketing number is right in front of you. Take it, call them, negotiate with them. It's not expensive, and come and join our team and contribute to the development of young people in the country. So viewers, this is all we have for you in this edition. Don't forget to connect with QTV on our different social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us your recommendations and your comments. We'll surely pen them down, if not even implement them. My personal social media handles are as well in front of you. Take it and contact me and give me your recommendations before 2021 in relation to what you want to see right here on the Youth Dialogue. So viewers, till I come your way in 2021, stay tuned.